But in terms of types of organizations, when I got to thinking about careers in Africa, I really thought, okay, this could cover so aspects, from nonprofits. So you've got large nonprofits or NGOs like Gates Foundation if you're into health, and then foundations that are funded by governments, especially Europeans or U.S. government may have foundations and NGOs that do work here. You can work in the public sector. So if you're a citizen of that country, you could probably, work in the government directly. I have heard of a couple of people who've landed in advisory roles, especially for some of the newer countries or countries that are coming out of conflict and are rebuilding, like Rwanda. Their governments pretty proactively recruit people to advise, say, the finance minister or the health minister to improve variety of might be interesting. Of course, a lot of for-profit organizations. You've got everything from the large multinationals. You've got a lot of Pan-African companies. So InScore is based in Southern Africa, and they do mostly fast food and food products. EcoBank is a growing Pan-African bank. DSTV is like the cable television supplier for many places in Africa. So you have a lot of companies that are grown larger than the country that they're in, but they're still pretty much operate really. And then you've got what's interesting now is on the investment landscape, you'll find a lot of interest in not just aid to Africa, but being able to enable businesses to grow through investment. So there's a fairly large venture capital community forming. Private equity is very active. A lot of overseas funds and some local ones are raising money to invest for PE, which is why I'm in the country. And then there's some organizations that do impact investing as well. So they're looking at double bottom line, so investing with the social good. There's a lot of entrepreneurship, which is great now that the venture capital is coming in to support that. The entrepreneurship of all kinds, tech, healthcare, or whatever. There's people starting businesses everywhere. I put in research in academia because I come from an academic background, and for those of you who are interested in it's still fairly nascent. You will find potentially some positions in certain organizations, for instance, universities in South Africa, but it's still pretty tough. The research infrastructure isn't quite as built up as it is other countries in the world. And I'm more than happy to share on any of the above, either my experiences or my friends, so feel free to ask. So in terms of finding the job, the toughest thing for me when I had finally decided that I wanted to come back was to figure out how you find these job opportunities. I think I took it a little for granted in the U.S. So you do have people coming on campus to recruit, or the career center has a pretty good feel for who's hiring and when, or people are advertising online. But there's not as much of that coming from companies recruiting for Africa. So it may require a little bit more legwork, and I would highly recommend that you start networking as soon as you possibly can. So at school, if you're still in school, I would do something like join, the Africa Business Club or the Africa Students Club, anything related to join because you'll find a lot of like-minded people, and you'll find a lot of African students who know of opportunities in their own home countries. So get to know the Africans. Take Africa-related classes because you'll find that a lot of professors have relationships on the ground in Africa, and they could be very, very helpful in point to the right direction. And again, leveraging the school alumni network, there's almost always going to be someone who's worked or lived or grew up where you want to work in your alumni network. So definitely look into that. If you're at school or work, join professional societies. So if you're into VC, there's VC for Africa or Emergent Private Equity Association, I believe it's called. So join an organization in what you would like to do. I've made a lot of use of LinkedIn and Twitter, looking at blogs. There are a lot of magazines that are Africa focused. So Investor, African Business. So there's a lot out there that is being published about Africa and for Africans in the diaspora that I would recommend that you check out, and follow people that you're interested in on Twitter. From time to time, job opportunities will pop up there. Attend conferences. It's a great way to meet people and find out what's going on. I just, when I was doing some research to talk to you, I came across a couple of professional search firms that are actually looking for experienced professionals to be placed in businesses in Africa. So that I thought was pretty interesting. And then for me, what was really helpful was being able to have that on-the-ground experience before I graduated. So for me, that came in form of a shorter 1-month internship that came after my traditional internship that was in Liberia. So you could try an internship, you could consult for a little while for a company, or find a way. I have a friend who works in DC, but they have relay companies in Nigeria, and so he finds every opportunity he can to be able to be placed on assignments here, if possible.